after 5:30, I'm going to call the Coos Bay City Council meeting to order. Would you all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, and welcome. So to our work session for the Coos County City Council and also the urban renewal. There'll be no decisions made, but we'll be discussing different items. First item on the agenda is public comment. This is time to come forth and make a comment that you'd like. If it's on the agenda, we would prefer that you to come forth, and there'll be time for you to have that discussion on the agenda of items. So if you would do that, I'd appreciate it. And then we can have other discussion with others if that's necessary. So is there any other public comments, something that maybe may not be on the agenda tonight? Just come forth, give us your name and where you reside. Anyone? Okay, seeing that there's no public comments, we'll move on to the next item. Number 3 is reviewing of the upcoming City Council and Urban Renewal Board agenda action items, which I mentioned earlier. Number A is introduction of a new and promoted Public Works and Community Development Department employees. Jim?
I'll take that. Thank you. Good evening. I'm pleased to announce that we have a couple of new folks new to the city staff to introduce, plus we have one individual that's been promoted. So I'll start with Michael Carano. He's our water quality superintendent. He came to us from Colorado with many years of experience running wastewater treatment plants. So we're pleased to have Michael on board.
Welcome. Well, thank you. I'm glad you're here. And how long have you been here, Michael?
A while.
Okay, great. So you just got your feet wet. You just got your feet wet, getting to know the area. Okay.
Then another new employee is Stefan Stives. He's an engineer, and in our case, he's the water quality engineer. And Stefan was raised here in Coos Bay, then went away to school at OSU, and then took some jobs outside the area, and he's back in the area, and he loves it here, and we're glad to have him.
Well, welcome back, I should say. Glad to have you back. Yeah, we look forward to you enjoying your time here. You still have family here?
Oh, yeah.
Well, good. So it's working out well then.
And then I'd like to introduce Greg Hamlet. He was engineering services coordinator for the city and has been promoted to take Randy Dixon's position as operations administrator for the Public Works and Community Development Department.
Great, Greg. So we'll be seeing you in a different light now. You bet. Any questions, anyone? No? Thanks. I appreciate it. All of you. Promotions and new employees. Thank you. All right. Anything else on that? Nope. B, consideration of urban renewal improvement program grant request for 171 and 191 South Broadway. Jim?
I'll take that.
Okay.
Yes, this is for the building that houses Cafe 101 and Katrina Kathleen's. They're at the corner of Broadway and Anderson. The owner, David Harold, has submitted an improvement program grant application for the project that includes repairing the surface cracks in the stucco siding, repaving the structure, and removal, cleaning, and then replacement of the existing awning. The applicant was able to acquire one bid for the facade repair of $11,500 and one bid for the awning cleaning of $5,000 for a total project cost of $16,500. The design assistance team reviewed the request earlier this month and recommends the use of elastomeric paint as it has more flexibility than regular latex paint, so it can bridge hairline cracks that form in the stucco over time. Council or staff requests your review and discussion of the application, and if it pleases you, we will bring this back to you on the 7th July 6th meeting for approval. And the grant would be for an amount up to $88,250.
Questions, anyone? Counselors? Nope. Right, pretty straightforward. That's great. C, consideration of acceptance of the updated financial internal controls policy. Nicole?
That's me, thank you. It has been a bit since we brought this policy before you. This is a policy that's required by COSO, which is one of our organizations that gives us guidelines for internal controls and accounting standards. And then it's also required for statements on auditing standards. The auditors will look to see that we have a policy in place and that we're actually using it. The intention of the policy is to hopefully catch any issues that could lead to misappropriation of assets, fraud, those types of things. So we believe we've appropriately assessed our risks and then established controls to hopefully catch or avoid those risks. What we're changing in this document is really just some title changes for some position changes. And because of that, we're kind of thinking forward a little bit how we might have some transaction flows change a little bit by who's touching those transactions in the department. We're handling the same types of things as far as checks and revenues in. I mean, all of those things aren't changing. What's really just changing here is the titles and then a couple of the ways the transactions flow. Who's touching them?
Questions, anyone?
Yeah, I noticed it did look like it was mostly title changes, but I did see that they were changing the cash deposits from daily to weekly. Does the city
Yeah.
not have a lot of cash transactions?
So we, in this last year, US Bank has a check scanner, and we mostly get checks or ACH. Very few cash deposits, and it's usually library funds, and those come once a week. So we just try to schedule that deposit about when we're getting those library funds. We do have a threshold. If we have too much cash, we're going to obviously walk next door because it's pretty close. But we just kind of matched that up to what we're actually doing, which is what has been happening. We lock the cash up in the vault. Melissa and I are the only ones who have the keys to that.
Any other comments or questions for Nicole?
I just noticed one thing, where it talks on page 8 in our packet, it talks about the charter mission ordinances resolution, and it notes the mission was adopted in March of '96. I think it was actually changed in 2007 or 2008, updated.
For the internal controls, I think it came to them in 2018. Sorry, let me go to page 8.
Yeah, I'll look at it and see. I think there might be a...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I
Okay.
think we updated the mission. I can find it for the date we did that.
Okay. So we may have one revision.
Anything else for Nicole? Okay, hearing none. Next item is discussion regarding the flag policy. Who's going to handle this? Nate?
Yes. The First Amendment provides that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. And obviously there's other parts to it, but that's what we're focusing on. And it's surprised to find that the city has a right to free speech as well. And that leads us into the issue of what is called the government speech doctrine. The government has the right to express its sentiments in various ways. And I think we've seen that the government requiring certain things be done or prohibiting certain things be done. And as it relates to flags, we've had a request recently to display the pride flag. And the city has expressed support for the LGBTQ community through a resolution recently. And the city would have the right, under the government speech doctrine, to express its sentiments through, flying that flag if it wished to. This government speech doctrine is a relatively new doctrine. There is some criticism of it, but basically it stands for the proposition that recognizes that a government entity is entitled to say what it wishes and to select the views that it wants to express. But the decision, and I've looked at a few ordinances that deal primarily with the ceremonial use of ceremonial flags. And what we're talking about is the city making a decision on its sentiment, how it wants to express its position, and it coming from the council itself. So generally speaking, those ordinances require that the requests come from a council member, and some of the ordinances require that it come from two council members, and that it be voted for and approved by the council as a whole. So in that regard, in terms of using ceremonial flags, there's a basis for doing that. We have to be careful how we approach it so that we don't create a situation where, you fly the pride flag and somebody wants to fly one that may be counter to that. The idea behind the government speech doctrine is that the city has the right to express its sentiments, and in doing so does not necessarily open up the Pandora's box to everyone who wants to flag a flag or require the city to fly a flag of their choosing. In other words, it doesn't open up other people's rights. Doesn't implicate other people's rights of free speech. If you wanted to, that we do have some ordinances we could look at. Of course, the issue is whether you decide to fly a flag, one flag, two flags, whatever. It does take time and effort from staff, and staff is kind of short at this point anyway. But that's an economic decision. It's really not a political or legal decision. So, any thoughts, questions?
First of all, is there a public comment on this? Did you want to make a comment about this? Okay, so council?
So I brought this one up, so I should probably speak. I like that find, so that's great. One of the things I had been interested in was maybe amending, because we do currently have that, was it an ordinance put in place from '09 about the flags on the boardwalk as well?
I think it's a resolution.
Resolution, yeah. So would this opportunity also allow us with discretion to make changes down there, or would we do an ordinance to allow additional flags down there? My main thought was if we could get back to maybe having flags from the countries that make port here down there, kind of reflect our nautical heritage there and our current nautical standing, and then maybe a policy that allowed for federally recognized observances to have their flags flown so that it's a little tighter.
I'll just chime in, that's how it started. But we had more poles at the time and more ships coming into port. So that's what it was. In fact, the Italian one used to be right across from the restaurant, which I enjoyed, but anyway. But all that being said, then it changed. And so, truthfully, I don't see any need to fly the California flag, and I forget what other ones down there. It just doesn't make sense to me, but I'm not sure how the council would like to proceed. I think the flags that are there don't represent us. I was hoping maybe just if we flew the flag, the United States flag, American flag, on all of them, and maybe one flag for the state. But I'm open. There's not that many poles. Are there 4 or 5?
On the boardwalk or here?
Boardwalk.
We can get you how many polls there are. In the past, when the council looked at this, I think the last time, there was actually a council subcommittee that was put together, and there was 3 members of the council that came together and then made a recommendation to the council as a whole.
We can do that if you want, or we can kind of hammer it out now. It's up to you guys. I don't care. I don't think this needs to be a big deal. Is there anyone interested in, I don't know if we have enough polls for I don't think we have that many ships coming into port, but that was how it started? Is there an interest in that, or is there an interest in just doing the American flag? Or is there an interest in putting the committee together?
We have a solution for the matter at hand, so I wouldn't be opposed to just handling that now and coming back to this at a later date when we don't have as many things on our plate as we do currently.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we need, it's up to everyone.
I'm just curious on the flagpoles on the boardwalk. Those are really time consuming to change out because of the way they are, aren't they?
And
And they're older.
I think all of our flagpoles, with the exception of one, all require a bucket truck and 2 employees to change out a flag. And I did share my concern with just staff time right now. As the council may be aware, some of our landscaping doesn't look as good as it has in the past. And part of that is because, well, there's a multitude of factors. Some of those factors are we're picking up more trash, we're watering more flower baskets, and we're putting up or taking down more pole banners. And in addition, and a large task is cleaning up homeless camps. So that all takes staff time away, and then our landscaping doesn't get done. Each one is additive, and as the council has requested, you want us to look at some additional trash cans, and those are picked up every day. So that it just takes more time. And then I'll give you one more additive factor is that we do employ temporary employees, and right now we're gonna sing the same song that everybody else is singing. We can't get employees.
Yeah.
The employees that we do have, they're temporary, their time is ending, and some of them don't want to come back, and the company that we use to get us employees don't have any to give us.
So on the trash can, well, okay, first of all, the flags. So I mean, you're right. So I mean, I think whatever we decide, we should, hopefully the decision would be that it's not changed out more than one time a year, or hopefully not at all. But, you know, that's why I thought the American flag, but I don't know how everyone else feels.
I think it's good to put it on something so we do revisit it, because we probably can help with that, but I don't think there's any rush.
Nope, there's no rush.
Down the
But
road,
right
seems
now,
most
we're
appropriate.
experiencing what every other business is
Okay.
experiencing, and that's more work than we have people or time to do.
Rob, you all right, come back to it then?
Yeah, I agree with that. If I'm hearing it right, as it stands now, it's basically the council's sole decision whether to allow a flag or not allow a flag, is that what you're saying?
Correct. I think if we were to move forward, it might be wise to put it into a policy. And that way, if you want to bring up one, let's say you want to make a request to fly a certain flag at a certain period of time commemorating something, that you have a mechanism that allows you to bring it forward to the council. And then, but you could do it for all the flags. If you wish, you want to make a theme change, it'd be good to have a policy that allows both, that addresses both issues.
I agree, and I'm more interested in that because, I don't want to sit on this and make it political against, I mean, these decisions shouldn't be political.
Right.
And the best way to do that is to have some sort of a policy.
Yeah, I agree.
I stepped in on your
No.
point, but
Said it better than I did.
All right, so we'll come back with this at another time for some, as a policy to be discussed. So on the trash cans, Roger, I know that we talked about that, but, I mentioned having some that are difficult to get into, and I know the ones that the city of Portland has are expensive, and maybe and you looked at others. But if we had some that we're not able to get into and be dispersed, then I don't think they need to be picked up every night. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that can be that kind of trash. And the ones in Portland are a compactor, and I know they're like $4,500 a piece, but even at that cost, I think that we would save it in labor. Maybe, if we had something that was not able to, that's what happens. That's why the people are going around every day and picking them up because of what's being done. But if we had something that was suitable to not be able to be vandalized, I guess, maybe that would help.
do we have an inventory of how many we have?
Actually, Staff's been working on that. We've also been looking at a map on where they need to go. And staff is also looking at ones that are lockable and have hoods and are a little more difficult to rummage through, with the hopes that more stuff doesn't end up on the sidewalks. But we are looking at that. Appears the cost anywhere, I'm gonna say it's $1,000 and above per trash can to get those like that. But the reality is they're durable.
And I think it's going to save on labor. I mean, if, I see city employees every day picking it up, and sometimes the trash cans are empty, but, you know, to have it, they just go through and do it. So even the trash bags, the gas, the time, all that adds up. It wouldn't take long, I don't believe, for start paying for them,
Are
so,
you talking about the dumpsters
no.
types, just regular trash cans?
Yeah, if you go down every day, every city trash can up and down, at least downtown, I don't go out in Empire, so I don't know, but they're picking them up every day.
And I can't imagine the time that they're spending. They were actually doing a trash run when I was doing the walk around Empire Lakes, and you cannot travel that, you know, in the vehicle, that they were very, very fast, and it took quite a while for them. And those are important places to have them.
Yeah,
I would hazard a guess that they have more than a truckload of trash every day. And, you know, one of the stake bed trucks. It does accumulate.
anyway,
But we'd be, staff's more than willing to look at the compactor types, and maybe we need the compactor types at certain locations that do get quite a bit.
I just try to get away from daily, maybe if we can make it 3 times a week or twice a week or whatever, something like that might help. And I know that those are solar also up there, and I forget, I looked at the Portland, and the name, I was up there last time, Belly Buster or something like that, but anyway. All right, anything else? We jump from flags to garbage cans. Well, we're towards the end of.
That's not a political statement.
Pardon? The only thing I want to bring up is Drew Farmer wrote a letter, and I got wind of it and read it, and I think it's very applicable to our city and the state, and it's got a lot of validity, and I hope, Drew, maybe you should send it to everyone, and we should try to share it. It basically talks about mental health and how it affects the state, us, homelessness. I think Drew has brought this up before, and so anyway, I think he did a good job on it, and we need to try to get it out. And maybe try to get some traction on this, because it is a huge problem, and it's not going to go away. So it's going to affect us in the homelessness, and anyway. Thank you.
I'd really like to see it. I know that Drew put a lot of effort into the research and everything that went into that letter.
Yeah, there's
And,
facts,
he does a
figures.
good job of representing our city and our community at that capacity.
Well, basically, this state is the worst.
We came in 51st out of 50 because they included DC.
Yeah,
51st out of 50.
Yep.
correct. So anyway, so if you could share that with all the council, I
Yeah.
think it'd be important, Drew. So anyone else, comments, anyone? Boy, okay.
Joe, you're doing good at it.
About time, Joe.
I
Would
told
you
you,
watch the
I
last
told you,
meeting?
Rob, these meetings don't last long. All right. Well, if that's it, we'll adjourn the meeting, and so that's the end of the discussion, I guess. Here we go. Thank you, everybody.
Balances out